This is a 13 ABC special presentation, the installation and Mass of Bishop Daniel E. Thomas. Funding for this program brought to you in part by Sylvania Franciscan Health and the Andersons.
And good afternoon. From the Holy Rosary Cathedral on Collingwood Boulevard, I'm Lee Conklin. So pleased you could join us for the installation of Toledo's 8th bishop in the Catholic Diocese. And joining us, Most Reverend Monsignor Charles Singler, giving us kind of the play-by-play of this historic day. We're so delighted that you could be with us for the next couple of hours.
Thank you, Lee, and a special welcome to all of our viewers in Northwest Ohio and Southwest Michigan to our Cathedral Church of the Diocese of Toledo.
We are just getting started.
Yes, the procession is just beginning, the initial parts of the procession. The deacons are currently coming in the procession. Knights of Columbus have come in already. There are about 102 deacons in procession. And of course you can see the Knights of Columbus in their respectful stance in welcoming the clergy in procession. The ministers of the servers with the cross and candles and incense. The book of the Gospels now coming in procession with candles flanking the Gospel book.
And we have the youth.
And the presence of the youth, right. All of our seminarians, 23 men, are serving for the service today as well. And our two of our transitional deacons are involved in the service, as well as 2 permanent deacons in the actual assisting of the bishop in the service today.
And we've already had an official moment in this installation. It's the vestibule kissing, the blessing, if you will, that took place just outside the church.
The reception at the door of the cathedral, which is kind of symbolic of the bishop coming to his cathedral church. And that was marked by a kissing of the feet of Christ on the crucifix, an ornamental crucifix that normally hangs in our Blessed Sacrament chapel here in the cathedral throughout the course of the year. And then the bishop sprinkled the people that were in the surrounding area as a gesture of welcome and of also of asking and begging God's presence in this moment and of our history in the Diocese of Toledo.
And we see the history of the diocese there with Archbishop Leonard Paul Blair.
That is correct. Our former bishop is here today. Had a chance to converse with him yesterday and was very happy to be able to return to the diocese and to be present for this installation ceremony of his successor, Bishop Thomas.
Bishop Daniel, Archbishop, Auxiliary Bishop of Philadelphia, Bishop Designate right now.
Correct. Once he takes possession of that chair, when he sits in that middle chair here in the cathedral, as our viewers can see it, that's when he becomes the Bishop of Toledo.
55 years old, and Jeff Smith, and you talked about the youth, the exuberance that he brings to this diocese.
Great sense of an energy and a great love for people. He's a great conversationalist, engaging in his personality. I think that the people of Northwest Ohio will really come to love this bishop very much. He's a great teacher, very articulate in his message, and certainly emulates in witnessing to the Christian faith. As we see the deacons coming in procession here, I can't help but to think of our viewers may or may not see it when Bishop Thomas comes in the procession, but he's actually wearing the garment of the deacon below his chasuble as a sign of the fullness of the order of holy orders of the sacraments as a deacon, as priest, and as a bishop. So he'll be wearing, it's a very lightweight garment that'll be underneath his priestly chasuble, but we have the presence of the deacons here in this service today and they are accountable to the diocesan bishop as servants to the bishop and servants to others.
And these would be deacons, Monsignor, from within the Toledo Catholic Diocese
Most of them are from the Catholic Diocese of Toledo, yes. 102 of them are here today. Majority of them would be married men whose wives are also present for the celebration today.
And standard here, what we would see the preceding bishop in front of Bishop Designate Thomas.
Right, and next to Archbishop Blair is the Apostolic Nuncio, who is the Pope's representative to this celebration today, Archbishop Carlo Vigano from Washington, D.C. is a native Italian, but is been appointed as the Apostolic Nuncio.
He is vital to this ceremony, this installation.
He brings the official document for the celebration.
So there are representatives from Washington, from obviously the Vatican here.
The farthest that the bishops have come is the Virgin Islands. The bishop of the The Diocese of St. Thomas of the Virgin Islands is here. Again, because of their acquaintance and knowledge and interaction with Bishop Thomas, he worked for the Congregation for Bishops in Rome for 15 years, plus his work at the North American College as a spiritual director at the seminary. He has a connectedness with many, many bishops.
And there was some discussion that his connection to Rome, his work in Rome, certainly may have paved the way for this designation here.
Certainly being acquainted with people, certainly, yes. But you know, the one thing that I find in him is he's very not into the connectedness that way. He doesn't give the impression he knows, individuals for the sake of climbing any kind of ladder. He truly is a servant leader, at least in the few days that I've interacted with him, and I'm very grateful for everything. He constantly says, thank you for doing this, or thank you for doing that. He's just very gracious.
I had a chance to talk with him yesterday, and for probably 20 minutes, you can try to get to know someone. And first thing he said when he drove to Toledo was he traded in his car and he got a Jeep.
He did.
So he knows how to make a connection.
He did. And we were counseling him after the announcement was made in August about a vehicle. He says, I don't know if mine will actually be able to survive in Toledo, so what do you recommend? We all said, because we live with him, we said, well, Bishop, maybe you need to consider a Jeep. So that's exactly what he did. So we can see now on the screen the priests of the Diocese of Toledo are coming in procession. And you'll see a distinction. The priests that are from Toledo have the vestment called the chasuble with the red inscription down the front and the back. Those are Toledo priests and some invited priests, but you'll see some priests in a distinctive chasuble all its own, and those are the priests that are here with us from Philadelphia that were invited to come and join us for this celebration today.
Bishop Designate Thomas, growing up, born and raised in the Philadelphia area.
Yes.
Cut his teeth there, if you will, and said he first thought about becoming a priest at a very early age, growing up in Philadelphia.
Yes.
At the age of 7.
Yes.
When it first
it was that way for many of us.
Yeah.
Now on our screen we can see the priests that have key roles in the liturgy today. These are the priests from Philadelphia. And now we see the priest from Toledo again. Bishop Thomas was very clear in the planning process that he wanted features of the Toledo Diocese and everything. If you notice, our viewers, of course, may not actually see it, although they may see that in the hands of some of the participants, a booklet that they have, which has the image of our cathedral, the apse of our cathedral, of the coronation of Mary, the Blessed Mother, with God the Father, God the Son, and God the Spirit. And so it provides for them a kind of a visual snapshot of the piece that everyone in this cathedral is seeing today. But the point that the bishop made in the preparations was that he wanted the artwork of our cathedral pictured throughout the course of the booklet. So it's really a wonderful gem, and the artwork that we were able to snapshot and put and include is really very beautiful.
And everyone who comes into this church today is being given one of these booklets.
Absolutely, yes.
So, Bishop Thomas, a lot of input here.
Very much
You had
so.
some input here.
I did. Worked with the bishop.
Explain what your role was.
Well,
in all
it was
of this,
to be the liaison between the bishop as far as what artwork he wanted, and then the template for the booklet was part of that. And so we worked together, and we went through a number of revisions of what he wanted worded, how things he wanted worded, and what placement of various things. So we went back and forth. I would say we probably went around 7 or 8 revisions in the course of the past 2 months trying to prepare for this booklet. And then the other responsibilities that I had through this was the actual writing of the script to assist the masters of ceremonies, where they would be walking, where the priests would be walking, all the various movements and the like. So it was a labor of love, truly.
And there are a number of masters of ceremonies. The bishop has his own.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And what are the roles
they would
MCs play?
Those MCs, masters of ceremonies, would basically be in charge of the segments. So like the deacons had their own masters of ceremonies to get them in this procession. And now we still see some Toledo priests coming in. And there were several MCs for the priests, MCs for the archbishops and bishops, and then the bishop has his own master of ceremonies.
You talked about highlighting the art here, and it's interesting that when I asked him about personal interests, art was the first thing he mentioned.
Yes.
Art and music.
Yes.
And why wouldn't you highlight this mother church in the Toledo Diocese,
Well,
this edifice, this
That's
incredible cathedral?
that is a very good question, and that was what he made very clear at the outset after the appointment. Normally, the bishop's coat of arms is what usually goes on a cover for a mass such as this, but it was very clear he wanted the artwork, the centerpiece of the cathedral, to be this image of the Blessed Mother and her coronation.
And at the end of the service, will it not
It'll be
concluded
highlighted specifically,
with
yes.
him facing
After he
Mary?
imparts the blessing and the deacon says, "This Mass is ended, go in peace," the bishop is going to turn at his chair, and we're all going to sing an ancient Latin hymn called the Salve Regina, which in English is translated, "Hail Queen of Heaven." So the image of Mary is going to be honored after the conclusion of our Mass today.
If you're just joining us, 13 ABC presenting live coverage of the installation of Toledo's 8th bishop in the Catholic Diocese. And it's hard to believe this is only the 8th. 104 years the diocese has been here, breaking off from the Archdiocese of Cincinnati in
Yes.
1910. So truly a historic day for the church here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now we see on our screen that the Toledo priests are coming in more back in the procession. We have the deans, who are the bishop's representatives in the regional areas of the diocese, and the consultors. The priests with the gold-yoked stoles and chasubles are the priests from Philadelphia that are with us. So as you can see here pictured, there's quite a few of them represented here at the celebration.
And the College of Consultors will play a role here as well.
They are the ones that will actually review the apostolic letter at the appropriate time after the apostolic nuncio reads the letter from the Pope, and they will then be shown that document to authenticate its purpose and its presence here for this Mass.
And this, the procession before the actual Mass, and make no mistake, this is a Mass.
It is.
Front and center.
It is. The first part is more of an introduction, but it really will start after the bishop is seated. The Mass then will begin at that point. The first part is more of an introduction, and already we're coming upon the entrance of the bishops that are here, which is quite good. Because
we're moving right along?
We are. It's moving along very well, which is exactly how it was scripted. Priest from
all
Philadelphia.
Coming up to the altar, and we do see those pamphlets, those programs
right.
for today's
and
ceremony.
they are reverencing the altar as a sign of reverence. Interesting also, our viewers might find it interesting, encased within that altar are the relics, the physical remains, if you will, of saints, as a way of connecting us with the communion of saints. And so this reverence that is occurring is a way of connecting our earthly liturgy with the heavenly liturgy. And as we can see, Bishop Thomas is making his entrance. Behind him is the Archbishop of Cincinnati, Metropolitan Archbishop Dennis M. Schnur, who will be actually the installing bishop to the bishop. He is the convening bishop of the bishops of the province of Ohio.
So he is the person in line to make the designation or the installation?
Well, he'll be here to do the actual installation. He's delegated to do the installation, but he, as an archbishop and the metropolitan of the province of Ohio, in a way is kind of representing the bishops by installing Bishop Thomas as Bishop of Toledo.
And what about the music during the processional? Bishop Thomas have a role in that? Who decides?
He looked through, we made some suggestions, but there were pieces that he also wanted for this celebration. So we basically utilized what he wanted. And right now there's just instrumental music playing. In a few moments, once these bishops get in a little further in, we're going to actually begin the entrance hymn for the celebration of this wonderful liturgy today. You can see the Archbishop of Cincinnati on screen right now, and he is holding what is referred to as the crozier, or the staff of the bishop. That is the actual crozier that he will hand to Bishop Thomas and will be used here in the cathedral when the bishop presides.
What he has in his hand right now.
The staff that the Archbishop has in his hands, yes. And there are deacons preceding him, and then seminarian attendants behind them.
Monsignor, if we could talk for a moment about this day, why this day has been selected for the installation. Bishop Thomas saying a lot goes into that, trying to get everyone here, the logistics in getting this crowd together.
Right. The liturgy itself of today is the celebration of the feast, the memorial of St. John Paul II. And I think it was by design that this day was chosen. So now we can see finally in the end of the procession is the Cardinal Archbishop of New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan. I think that's a great tribute to Bishop Thomas for the Cardinal to be in attendance for this.
Doesn't always happen.
No,
at
it doesn't. It does not. And they both work together in Rome, so they are very good friends and have had acquaintances of working together with young men who are studying for the priesthood. So his being here, in a way, even authenticates the joy and the integrity of the man who's being installed as the bishop of our diocese. And now you'll see the bishop kiss the altar, and he'll take his seat. And then the archbishop will be coming forward, and he will kiss the altar and incense the altar. And the cardinal then will take his seat in the upper sanctuary. His purpose and his role in this Mass, the cardinal, is simply to be in attendance. He's kind of just overseeing and observing the celebration as anyone would be. He's not functioning as an archbishop or a bishop is right now, because they're all having vestments on for the celebration of Mass. Now Archbishop Schnur is going to incense the altar as a sign of respect as we sing now the opening hymn for the Mass. experience the Archbishop introducing with the sign of the cross, which is the normal way we begin the celebration of every prayer.
Peace be with you.
And he will offer a word of welcome.
Brothers and sisters, this afternoon we celebrate with great joy the installation of the 8th Bishop of Toledo, Bishop Daniel Thomas. And what we do here this afternoon is not merely an administrative act. It is a recognition of the Lord's attentiveness to his church. The Lord promised that he would be with his church until the end of time, and what we witness this afternoon is apostolic succession itself. Bishop Thomas, your reputation is well known to many bishops in this country. We know of your fine work. We know of your love of the church. And as Metropolitan, I welcome you to the province of Cincinnati, and on behalf of the bishops of Ohio, I welcome you, and we look forward to collaborating with you. Archbishop Vigano, welcome to the province of Cincinnati. Your predecessor, Archbishop Pietro Sambi, once said to me that, well, when the nuncio comes, when the nuncio calls, it is always good news. Well, I don't know that I can speak to that, but this afternoon, Your Excellency, you do indeed bring good news. And so, brothers and sisters, let us welcome the Holy Father's personal representative in the United States, Archbishop, His Excellency Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano.
Now we will hear the actual welcome and greeting of the Pope's delegate, Archbishop Vigano, and reading of the Apostolic letter.
Your Eminence, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Your Excellency Metropolitan Archbishop Dennis Schnorr, Your Excellency Bishop Daniel Thomas, Bishop Designate of Toledo, dear Archbishops, you are many here, and bishops, dear priests, deacon, and consecrated religious, dear lay faithful of the Diocese of Toledo, dear friends, I am truly pleased to be with you today in this beautiful, really beautiful cathedral of Our Lady, Queen of the Holy Rosary. Certainly it's one of the most beautiful I've been visiting, going around the United States now during 3 years of my mandate here in the United States. And on the eve of his centennial anniversary, as Bishop Daniel Thomas is solemnly installed as the 8th Bishop of Toledo. Your Excellency, it goes without saying that this is a special day for you and for the beloved flock that's been assigned to you. But I know it takes on even more significance since today, October 22nd, is the first time that the Church is celebrating the feast day of St. John Paul II, a Pope especially dear to you, since during his pontificate from 1990 to 2005, you served at the Vatican as an official of the Congregation for Bishops, and also experienced firsthand his final days. On this beautiful occasion, it is well worth recalling what our Holy Father Pope Francis said during his homily at the canonization of St. John 23rd and John Paul II, just 6 months ago. St. John 23rd and St. John Paul II were not afraid to look upon the wounds of Jesus, to touch his thorn hands and his pierced side. They were not ashamed of the flesh of Christ. They were not scandalized by him, by his cross. They did not despise the flesh of their brother, because they saw Jesus in every person who suffers and struggles. These were two men of courage. They bore witness before the Church and the world to the God's goodness and mercy. Your Excellency, as we pray for you today through the intercession of Saint John Paul II and Our Lady, Queen of the Most Holy Rosary, we likewise express our confidence that through your faithful and courageous ministry to the people of God in Toledo, Ohio, and to the community beyond, you will bear witness to God's goodness and mercy, seeing the face of Jesus in everyone, especially in the person who suffers and struggles. At this time, in a special way, I wish to thank Father Charles Ritter for his valuable service as diocesan administrator. And now it is my joy to read for you the apostolic letter of your appointment. Francis, Bishop, servant of the servants of God. To our venerable brother Daniel Edward Thomas, until now titular Bishop of Bardstown and auxiliary of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, appointed Bishop of the Diocese of Toledo, greetings and apostolic blessing. It is only with paternal affection that at this time we direct our attention to Toledo to celebrate Glass City and also to see of the Diocese of Toledo established by our predecessor, St. Pius X, since we hasten to assign to it, without delay, an ordinary to succeed our venerable brother Leonard Paul Blair, who was appointed Metropolitan Archbishop of Hartford. For this reason, we confidently turn to you, venerable brother, who endow as you are with episcopal experience, seemed in our judgment to be the right person to guide and to bring genuine support to this flock of the Lord. Therefore, upon consultation with the Congregation for Bishops, where we know you served so well for 15 years, by the fullness of our apostolic authority, we release you from the bond of the titular church in Bardstown, and we name and appoint you Bishop of the Diocese of Toledo, at the same time conferring upon you all the rights and imposing the obligations which are connected with this same mandate. In addition, it is our earnest desire that both the clergy and the people of the Diocese of Toledo be informed about our decree and decision, and also that they warmly welcome you as their shepherd and guardian of the truth. Moreover, on your part, be sure to teach the faithful entrusted to your pastoral care with absolute charitableness and with kindness of your demeanor. As we write this to you, venerable brother, we urge that you clearly show to your flock the one whom Thomas saw, that you nourish your flock with the one whom Thomas touched, that you yourself unwaveringly profess and proclaim to your flock the one whom Thomas confessed as God, the Lord of all mercies. given at Rome at St. Peter's on the 26th day of the month of August, in the year of the Lord 2014, the second of our pontificate. Francis, our Pope.
Apostolic letter, the actual parchment with the etching and signature of Pope Francis, is taken to the consultors by the diocesan chancellor.
Examine the apostolic letter.
And so he holds that document up to them for them to authenticate the document. And then the deacon will announce that it go and be shown to the people in the cathedral.
Let the apostolic letter be shown to the people.
That is Chancellor, local Catholics will recognize Father Monty Hoyles there.
Exactly, and he is the record keeper, and that's why he is there doing this particular ritual gesture. And now the Archbishop of Cincinnati will escort Bishop Thomas to his chair, the middle chair, and he, as well as Archbishop Vigano, they will now invite Bishop Thomas to come forward, and they will escort him to his chair, and he becomes the Bishop of Toledo. And now he sits. And we have a bishop, Bishop Thomas, the 8th Bishop of Toledo.
And you have clergy standing, you have
Laity.
parishioners, lay people standing in this packed Rosary Cathedral.
It's a very, very good gesture.
Monsignor, can we talk about the crozier? Because
Yes.
there's a lot of history.
Actually, the 3rd Bishop of
right.
Toledo, Bishop Karl Alter, used this crozier during his tenure as our bishop, and then later moved to Cincinnati as the Archbishop of Cincinnati. That crozier remained in the diocese and was placed in the archives. When Bishop Blair became bishop 10 years ago, he used that crozier in the course of his time here, and Bishop Thomas desired that it be used again. So it has a historic significance. And now the bishop will be greeting the representatives, 27 people, representing various groupings, individuals, to be greeted by the bishop and welcomed